Ooh, what's that, man? This might get some blowback, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna do it anyway. Man, there's a few things. There's a few things I'm gonna talk about, and I mean, I already kind of, I think, come off as a contrarian in a lot of ways for the circles that I dabble in, the circles that I check in on, peek my head in, like the peeker. Not like the peeker, fuck that dude. So, things that I notice that give me pause and make me like not really want to fuck with too many people. And to be clear, it's not that I won't. It's more like I don't make the effort to jump into these groups and circles, and there's reasons for that, right? There are lots and lots and lots of cults, right? And I've talked about that at length. I've talked about it a whole bunch. But I think one of the things that I haven't been that clear about is that when I say cults, a lot of the time I'm kind of talking about like more of mental cults. That's what I've talked about a lot. But there are literal cults, like physical cults, with places for you to go and live. And though I won't tell anyone what to do with their body or their mind, one of the reasons I kind of I'm carving out this little space is to speak my mind, and hopefully some get something from it. But if nothing else, it's kind of for me, you know. I'm hoping that I come across certain beings that we feel a familiarity that comes from somewhere else, something metaphysical, somewhere outside of this place, family. But essentially, again, it's for me, you know. The channel was mostly for documenting research and stuff like that, and it's definitely still that. I definitely still put, philosophies and shit out there, but like within doing this research, I've come across like really fucking crazy people, you know, and I'm pretty sure a friend and I just got like a friend and I just got there are cults. There are cults, and what I'll say, because this kind of worried me, and still worries me, because within the digital age and within how all of this social media and all this shit works, you can never be too careful. And honestly, Infinite Corridors just did a video that was kind of talking about something that we've been talking about a lot lately in our group. And it has to do with something I've been talking about. Been talking about this for a long while. And even in the case of Infinite Corridors, like, my goal, it's never my goal to change someone's outlook or disposition, but at the same time, though, it's done a lot for me to have the healthy skepticism and to be a classical pessimist, not a pessimist, you know, a contemporary pessimist or a new age pessimist or whatever. Though that seems to just be negativity. Not that, but a realist, a very, very heavy realist. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's a lot of manipulation, not just from outside of these circles, like everyone likes to say, but from within them too. If someone comes to you and they start talking to you about, you know, all of these metaphysical things and theories and stuff like that, and then you say to them, well, from my perspective, you know, blah, 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 blah. Or if you happen to express to them that you don't really like, you don't see things that way, that doesn't resonate with you, however you choose to see it. If they persist in trying to make you believe what they believe, that's not a good sign, not a good sign. And one of the bigger reasons that it's not a good sign is when they're not conversating, when they're doing like, their solo talks, TikTok lives or whatever, Instagram live, whatever it is. It seems to me, especially with the love and light people, but not just talking about them, the left-hand path people too. Many of them say very similar shit to this. But they'll say they want everyone to kind of get along. It's time for all this warring to end and all this shit, various versions of that. But then when you look at their works, when you look at their practices, they're very exclusive, hugely exclusive. And that definitely works on different levels. And in the end, a lot of these are not influencers necessarily, but they're building a platform or something, at least the ones that have YouTube channels and Instagram followings and stuff like that. But even still, what I've noticed is that they're not really like practicing what they preach. And there's two examples of that are very, very heavy in rotation to me. One of them is like there's a pre-existing touchiness between pigments, right? And though that's understandable because it's pretty constantly driven home over and over again by manipulation, social engineering and shit like that. Black History Month and movies that kind of coax up the old feelings of fake slavery and shit like that. But if these groups and these people that are speaking publicly are saying that they're tired of the racism or they're tired of the separation, they're tired of the prejudice and all that shit, why does it seem like most of them stick to very specific guests or people that they kick it with and talk to and all that stuff? You know what I mean? And it's one of the reasons that I'll still kind of pay attention to some platforms, some avenues, channels, but I don't associate myself because you can still see the kind of disingenuous nature of some of it. And this isn't I'm not saying this about every single person that you see out there, because there are plenty of beings out there that are handling their candle. They're doing exactly what they say, whether that's in a positive light or a negative light. There are some out there that are very, very racist and prejudiced, and they got something against the gender and all this shit, and they'll they stand by it. Not many, but there are some, and they're not as public. They're usually kind of secret about their shit, like secret orders type stuff. But then there are others that say that they're for they're for togetherness, or they're for whatever. They're for whatever. But then you look and you can see the context of what they're actually about or what they're actually doing, and it's very weird. And so I've been trying to make it very clear that where I get my information from doesn't, the person or resource that I get information or gnosis from, that's a very different thing than who I decide to kick it with and hang out with and shit, right? So I'll still watch a lot of these resources, but then I keep in mind that okay, well, they said that they're about unity, but it seems like they're only having this pigment on their show. And if they do have someone else on, it seems very disingenuous, not very sincere. And even just on the level of beliefs or focuses, It's one thing to say, oh, well, my channel just kind of deals with stuff like this, or, you know, our group just kind of deals with this type of study or this type of practice or discipline. But there's like a rigidity to anyone that doesn't do those things, to anyone that believes differently. And at the very least, if you catch them in conversation, they can't live and let live. You know, I've noticed recently that in the more than average number of conversations I've had to say, let's agree to disagree. And as soon as I recognize that that's where it needs to go, I say it. Let's agree to disagree, man. Because you're not going to change my mind. And, you know, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just simply sticking to what I believe or what I know or whatever the thing is. Every time I've tried to say that, it doesn't work. And I don't understand why, like, what's up with that? Why do you need me to, what are you trying to change me for, you know? And on a grand scale, how are we going to unite, or how is there going to be unity if we can't even agree to disagree or coexist, you know? Everyone's not going to come around to the same belief system or discipline or practice. It's never been that way, to my knowledge. You may go back fairly far and find kind of like a one world civilization potentially, but in recent times, point to me a time where everyone has believed and done the same shit. You know, you can't, because that's not even a realistic principle, or it's not even a realistic expectation for everyone to just believe the same shit. I don't even know that I want to live in a place like that. That seems boring, you know? If we were all to believe in one thing, you know what that should be? Civic disobedience, non-compliance, non-participation in a broken and shitty system, you know? But we'll, you know, from what I can see, we're going to keep arguing about if the sun is real or artificial, and if the moon is plasma, or if the Dogon are right about the moon showing up on us, you know, just all these things that, for one, you will not get a real answer. So you're just going to keep arguing back and forth. It makes zero sense. And then for two, there are more important things that we could be discussing and actually agreeing on, because they're not subjective things. They're objective things that need to be compromised on so that we can take steps further, you know? And that's not gonna happen if we keep sticking in these little goofy groups, and every time we bounce on each other's bubble, we argue about who's right about what to believe and if we should be worshiping something, or all these things that I don't give a fuck what you do, dude. I don't care. I don't care what you're doing outside of the things that affect all of us. Those are the things that we should be focusing on. You know, if you want to learn how to, like, fucking astral travel or levitate or whatever, cool, dude, do that. That sounds fucking awesome, actually. If you figure it out, come get me. You know? Teach me. But in the meantime, why don't we figure out the stuff that is within this, in my opinion, simulation? Because honestly, until I see something that even, you know, slightly resembles that, I don't care about most of the stuff that I see these, like, factions and groups argue over, you know? Because literally, most of the stuff that I see them arguing over, there is no answer. There's no answer. So, I don't understand. And then, on top of that, if you're groups and you deem yourself as intellectual or intelligent or, you know, capable, doesn't it doesn't it kind of counteract for you to be ignoring all of these things that could benefit you in ways that give you more freedoms? Like, it just seems like participation and cooperation are more helpful than arguing over if the Gnostics are right and if the Christians are right. You know? Who cares? You believe what you believe. Let them believe what they believe. But there are other things that overlap that are very, very, like, practical, material things that are being kind of just glossed over, you know, completely in the interest of stuff that righteously doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, not to everyone. It doesn't matter to everyone whether you're a Valentinian or a Sethian, or if you're a Mennonite or a fucking Pentecostal. None of that matters to anyone but you. And maybe that's a part of it, that everyone feels unseen, I guess, or unheard, which you should, because you are. But, you know, the way that we fix that is to come together in a, not a physical sense. We don't all need to go to a place. If we come together in the concept of, oh, you know what makes us, you know what gives us our strength? You know what gives us our power? Unity. Unity gives us that. And you know how we flex that muscle? You know how we flex that unity? Everyone stop participating at the same time. We don't need to go fucking picket somewhere. We don't need to drive trucks and block shit. We don't need to, like, go to political events and act an ass so that they can beat the fuck out of us. We don't need to go get shot, you know, standing in front of federal buildings. Just stop buying shit for a little while. Just stop buying shit for a little while. Stop going to work. Stop going to work. Because you know what? Those things aren't illegal. That shit's not illegal. They can't do anything to you for not going to work, or for not going out and participating in the economy that is currently one of the root causes for all of the pain that you see right now, in one way or another. Maybe not directly, but if you know how to fucking line some shit up, if you know how to connect dots, it's a big reason. You know? Someone said that the opposite of love is not hate, it's power. It's power. And I would have to agree. One of the reasons that I've not gone to one of these communes that are apparently, like, gaining a lot of popularity in the last decade is because it's always run and owned by someone. They're always some kind of fucking guru or some kind of fucking, like, preacher, pastor, mother, father, God, deity, and they always want to enslave and most likely fuck you, or your significant other, or your kids, you know? Generally, they do. And so I'm done with authority figures. I've never liked authority figures. My life has not been easy because I am so anti-authoritarian. I don't like people telling me what to do or think or believe. None of that. I've never liked any of that shit. And have lived a very difficult life because of that. You know? So, like, when people say, you know what we need to do? We need to get together physically. We need to get some land and we need to start building and blah. None of that shit is going to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, dude. It's not about that. That's what they want you to be doing, because it literally does nothing. It doesn't do anything to their bottom line. Nothing. But you know what will really, really bring some change? Stop. Stop participating. Because in the opposite spectrum of that, all these communes and cults and shit that are getting built, you're still buying their properties to make your shit. You're still paying taxes on the land that you're doing all this stuff on. They still have jurisdiction to come in and fucking tell you what to do. You think they don't, but they do. And if they don't bother you, there's very likely something weird going on there. You know? And so I really think that if many of us kind of stopped for a second and looked at the things that we're allowing others to get us to believe and participate in and push on to others and argue about, fight about, drastically change our perspectives and our practices about, we would maybe see that it's not even worth doing that, because it's not accomplishing the shit that you're actually trying to accomplish. And to be honest, it wouldn't take very long at all. The civil disobedience, meaning not looting, not rioting, not even going anywhere that you don't usually go. In fact, you would go less places because you're not going to businesses to give money, and that's in solidarity. Everyone would need to kind of be on board with this, or most, the small businesses wouldn't be going anywhere either, unless it's something that's fundamental and needed. Clothing, little mom and pop clothing stores, I would hope that they would be in solidarity, so they wouldn't be missing your money because they're fucking at home. They're closed too. Like, I'm seeing people argue about where to get their research information from and things like that. You don't need to fucking worry about where I get my information from, dude. Worry about where you're getting yours from. Like, everyone's worried about the wrong shit. Everyone's arguing about the wrong shit. It makes zero sense. And just wasting energy arguing about shit that does not fucking matter. I guess I'd feel slightly different about it if you can't convince me that I'm wrong in what I'm saying current, or like right now. You can't. And I've been in a couple conversations that turned into debates, that turned into almost arguments recently. And my thing is, I know I'm right. And it's not about being right or wrong, but in that situation, when you're trying to kind of move me to another school of thought on this specifically, it really shows me some stuff that makes me, like, look at you differently, Like, not to the point where I'm not gonna, like, acknowledge or talk to you anymore, but I'm definitely gonna see you in a different light. We are no longer the same at that point. You're thinking from a very, very, like, I don't know, humanistic perspective. And I mean it when I say self-deification, dude. Like, this isn't how we live. They just got us thinking that this is how we live. We don't live like this. I feel it in my being. I feel it in my soul. We don't live like this. This is not natural. So, I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I just wanted to say something because of a few reasons. I don't want me or anyone that I consider to be family to join cults. I keep noticing people trying to police what other beings are researching, where they're getting their information from, telling each other that they're wrong about very subjective, very unsubstantiated and unprovable things, neither one of you is, quote, right, because neither one of you can prove anything you're talking about. When it comes to metaphysical shit and philosophical shit, well, no, there's definitely some stuff that's right and wrong in philosophy. But you know what I mean, dude. It just, you can go to any Discord or any social situation that's online or even in person and find people just arguing about bullshit. The fucking Hebrew Israelites standing on the street just yelling. What the fuck are we doing, dude? This isn't helping anything. I feel like I'm swimming through fucking confusion. You know? Just swimming. There's so much of it. It's like wading and swimming through confusion and hurt and pain and all these things. And it's so thick that no one can see. All we need to do is find each other and lock arms or lock hands. Be like, you know what? I'm not fucking swimming anymore. And I got my brother over here, my sister over here, and we're just gonna hold each other up and we're just gonna post up until you fucking drain this shit and we can see where we need to take the next step so that we're no longer swimming in flood water. We're walking. You know? I don't know. I got more videos to fucking record, so I'm gonna let that be it. But I love you,